we go. Monday edition of the show. All across America on SportsMap Radio. All around the world on the SportsMap Radio app. Boy, oh boy. Well, we thought we'd have something to talk about tonight with this Monday night wild card game, the end of wild card weekend. Doesn't look like we're going to be talking about much except the potential retirement of Tom Brady if this holds up. It's 18-0 Dallas. It should be 21-0, but their kicker tonight has had some issues, I guess you could say. Welcome to the show. I am Jason, flanked by producer engineer extraordinaire, the great John Belmer, also known as The Standard, working on the program with us tonight. We will be keeping tabs on this game. Look, here's the reality. There aren't many nights where I say, who's listening to the show? I mean, everybody's watching this game. I mean, there's so many storylines that sort of branch off of this game, both on the Dallas side and the Tampa Bay side. Is it going to be the last game ever for Tom Brady? I mean, that's going to be the big question. And as we come on the air at 10:01 p.m. Eastern, that certainly seems like it's going to be the question of the night. Is this the end? Will he announce it right after the game? After such what has been thus far a horrific performance by this Buccaneers team. But, people always, and look, I'm the first one to say, I've quoted Bill Parcells numerous times over the years in saying this is the second season. The NFL playoffs is the second season. Everybody starts from scratch. But you can't ignore what some of these teams have been throughout the entire year. And you got so many examples of that over this weekend that while the slate gets cleared, your history doesn't. It's not like you could just, it's not like your history folder on your browser where you could just delete it and it all goes away. You are what you are by this stage of the season. It's kind of hard to hide if you're fraudulent. And there were at least a couple of teams that we found out were fraudulent. And we knew they were. Look, whoever came out of the NFC South was going to be a fraud. As great as the Carolina story would have been, we all know they would have lost this game. Or Atlanta if they had somehow managed to hold it together throughout the entire season. Or now this Tampa Bay team that's on its way to being sent home packing. I mean, Minnesota was a fraud. We knew it. We said it. We told you all year. I don't mean to be the guy that says, I told you so, but I'm going to say it. I told you so. We told you Minnesota was a fraud. San Diego's been losing close games, not even just this year. San Diego, I'm sorry, I call them San Diego. The Los Angeles Chargers. They'll always be San Diego to me. They've been losing games like the one they lost on Saturday night forever. So why should anybody be shocked that they lost now? You are what you are by this stage of the season. There's no hiding it. There's no reinventing yourself in week 19 of the NFL season. You can't do it. Kirk Cousins, his entire career, has made a living out of being a great regular season quarterback that sucks when it matters the most. And you know what? This weekend, he sucked when it mattered the most. This is not a revelation. This is not light bulb going off in head, moment. This is not that. Not after an entire career of seeing Kirk Cousins. You are what you are. So nobody should be shocked by a lot of what we saw this weekend. But I will start the program with this. Now that I got that out of my system, I feel better. Thank you. See, Belmer? Just get it out of your system. Get to tell people all around the country what you're thinking, and then you just move on. It's a wonderful thing. So we move on from there because to me, the story of the day before this game, which of course is going to bring up the whole idea of whether or not this is the last time we see Tom Brady on an NFL football field, which is a significant story. As much as people may not want to talk about it, he is the greatest player in the history of the game. So it's kind of a big deal. But I want to talk about Lamar Jackson for a moment, if you will indulge me on this program tonight. I want to talk a little bit about Lamar Jackson and this player that, there's plenty of storylines from this weekend, but I think you have to talk about the Lamar Jackson story. And I begin with the premise, and I talked about this today a bit on TikTok, and I'll expand a bit on it now. But I think you have to start with the premise that I believe the Ravens made him a fair contract offer in the offseason. They offered him $250 million contract, $133 million of which was guaranteed for a guy that's 1-2 in his postseason career and has done well in the regular season. I don't think that is a contract that was unfair. Now, you might want to sit here and tell me that Deshaun Watson got this much and Kyler Murray got this much and Dak Prescott got this much, and what did they do to deserve it? Just because 3 people decide to jump off a cliff, if you're the 4th one in the group, you don't have to jump off the cliff. Okay? And look, Steve Bisciotti and the way this Ravens organization has been run for all these years, you saw him do it with Joe Flacco a decade ago. The same exact thing. They couldn't come to terms on a contract before the season started. Flacco said, okay, I'll play it out. And the guy won a Super Bowl and was Super Bowl MVP. And you know what? He got paid. So Lamar Jackson said, I don't find your contract appeasing. It doesn't appeal to me. I want more. Okay, fine. You decide you're going to play it out. You get hurt 10 games into the season. You miss the final month plus. You miss the postseason. Everybody thinks you got a week-to-week injury. Instead, you don't come back at all. And then you're sending cryptic messages after the game talking about how you need to be appreciated. And with all apologies to all the talking heads that are out there saying, well, if he had gotten his contract, he would have played. Yes. And that's an indictment on him. You had Michael Vick out there, who I don't necessarily subscribe to much of anything that Michael Vick ever says. But you had Michael Vick out there basically saying, hey, man, put a brace on the thing and go play. Okay, fine, you're not 100%. But you got to get out there and play. It's not like the thing is torn. It's not like the thing is completely gone. This was a decision he didn't want to play. He could have forced his way onto the field if he had wanted to. And he didn't. And the Ravens lost narrowly without him, and you could surmise, not that you know this for certain, it's the fallacy of the predetermined outcome. Well, if so-and-so had happened, it's like when somebody gets thrown out at second and then the next guy gets a base hit and you're like, oh my God, they would have scored a run. You don't know that because it may not have played out exactly that way. That's the fallacy of the predetermined outcome. But Jackson got hurt. Ravens coughed up a bunch of fourth quarter leads this year even when he was on the field. They make the playoffs. Their season ends in the wild card round. But now it gets messier because you've got this disconnect between the two sides. Jackson, with regards on his timeline to his expected return from the knee injury. You've got some players saying, he was limping around the locker room and the facilities. Okay. You know how many guys are out there playing tonight? It's week 19 of the NFL season. Nobody's 100%. Everybody's got something. You think Micah Parsons is feeling 100%? By the way, it's 24-0 Cowboys now. Did they miss another extra point, Belmer? Or did they go for 2 and not get it? Can you tell me? You're killing me, man. Killing me, Smalls. Whether he said it publicly or not, there's going to be resentment towards Lamar Jackson. There's no getting around it. And when he puts up a social media post today that basically says, well, if you don't appreciate somebody, you just may not have them. If you're good to somebody, they're going to be good to you. And some people tried to spin that as him saying, no, he was talking about his body. He was talking about taking care of his body. And if you don't take care of it, it's not going to take care of you. Don't be a fool. Everybody knows what Lamar Jackson was saying. He was telling the Ravens organization, pay me my money. And now this thing gets to a very interesting place. Now, I heard Robert Griffin III on the ESPN pregame, and he did play briefly with the Ravens organization behind Lamar Jackson. And Robert Griffin III said, from what he heard within the organization, they thought this situation between Lamar Jackson and the organization was reparable. I have a hard time believing that, but that's what he says. He didn't quote anybody. He didn't give any sources, but he's just saying that's what he's hearing from within the organization. I have a hard time seeing that. Because whether it's true or not, the perception of many is that Lamar Jackson quit on this team because he didn't get paid. And when perception becomes reality, bad things happen. We'll continue with this. 1-800-224-2004 from anywhere in America. 800-224-2004. It's the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Yeah, I don't know what they did. I don't know if Marr missed his fourth extra point of the game or not. Let me see. Gamecast. He missed again. He hit the right upright. That's crazy. That is crazy. That's crazy. And it's the postseason, so it's not like you can just go get a kicker off the scrap heap somewhere. Like, you're stuck with this guy. And if he's got the kicker's equivalent of the shanks, I mean, that's a big problem. Four. Nobody's ever missed three in a game, let alone in a half. In a playoff game, yeah. And he's missed four. He's going to have to be. What are you going to do? Where are you going to go get? Oh, if they win. Yeah, and the season's over. I get it, yeah. Yeah. Oh, I know. So you want to hear something crazy? I bowled a tournament this weekend, a 3-person tournament. My team, we won the tournament. We actually won the tournament. Yeah. It's my first tournament title in 14 years. Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, the three of us had it was 4 games, and in the 4th game, we had a ridiculously good team game. All 3 of us bowled over 200. I shot 223. Well, I mean, pro bowlers average about 200, 210, 220. Yeah, so I mean, yeah. No. All right, good to have you with us tonight. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. Hit me up on Twitter at The Back Page. Again, on Twitter at The Back Page. You just keep waiting for this Buccaneers offense to wake up. They're down 24-0, and there's still 8:33 to go in the third quarter. It's not like the game is completely over. We saw what happened throughout Wild Card Weekend. Super Wild Card Weekend with all the different comebacks that took place, some successful, some not. So there's still time in this game. We'll see what happens, but we're well on our way to, sort of writing the story about potentially the obituary on Tom Brady's career. That this could be it. That certainly is the way it's looking. But we'll wait and see. I mean, he's looked frustrated out there tonight. And look, this is the Cowboys team, sans Brett Maher, who's kicking like me. And by the way, there is a video of me kicking field goals on YouTube. It's not good. That's all I can tell you. Did I ever tell you about that, Belmer? I used to host a weekly TV show when the UFL was still around. So I was their play-by-play voice. And they had me go out and kick. We used to have me go out and play a different position during practice every week and try a different position. There's videos of me doing QB drills. There's videos of me doing long snapper drills. Oh, my God. My appreciation for long snappers has changed dramatically after trying to snap to a punter. Oh, my God. It's so hard. I gotta look around. Jason Page, Hartford Colonials. I'm sure something will pop up. But anyway, one of them was me kicking field goals and just extra points. And I've always, when I was younger, I used to be able to kick with no problem. So again, and this is 12 years ago when I was 33 and in fairly decent shape, as opposed to the pear shape I am now. And Chris Palmer, former NFL head coach, who was coach of the Hartford Colonials, was like, don't think it's that easy. And I'm just sitting there talking smack. I'm like, dude, you're going to be signing me by the end of this video. Are you kidding me? And, well, go on YouTube and find it. It's yeah. It was bad. It was really bad. So I have an appreciation for the fact that kicking isn't easy. But boy, what's going on with Brent Maher? I mean, it really is the equivalent of a golfer that has the shanks, where you just can't. It doesn't matter what you do. You're either yanking it or you're curving it to the right, hitting it out to the right. He just cannot hit a kick right now. It's crazy. He hit the last one off the right upright. But sans that, I mean, this game's going as perfectly as it could for the Cowboys. This is the Cowboys team that all year long I had been singing the praises of up until the final few weeks of the season when Dak Prescott was throwing the football to everybody except his teammates. And this defense had sort of looked lackluster. Now, look, how much of this is the fact that it's the Buccaneers? Look, this is a fully healthy Buccaneer team for the first time really all season. So there was the sense tonight that the Buccaneers were going to come out, pardon the phrase, guns a-blazing. And it's been anything but that. So we're going to have to wait and see if they could somehow turn this around. But it certainly doesn't look very good for them right now as they play in the third quarter, 24-0. Cowboys with the football, I believe, headed towards a wild card weekend victory. Right now on the live betting, excuse me, because we do that on the show. Buccaneers plus 22.5. They are plus 1,500 on the money line. 40.5 is the total. By the way, we were 3-2 on Page's picks this weekend. For those keeping score at home, we've got one game left. Obviously, this one. So looks like it's going to be a 500 weekend unless something remarkable happens. Because I was a believer in the Buccaneers in this game. I took Tampa Bay plus 2.5. So barring something incredibly unforeseen, this is going to make us 3-3. for the week. We were talking about Lamar Jackson. If you guys got any thoughts on it, 800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. Let me finish the thought on this. Coming up in 10 minutes, we'll be joined by Dennis Burdenstein. We'll do some hockey with him tonight, seeing as the whole world is talking about football. We'll do a little counter program, and we'll talk some hockey with Dennis Bernstein of thefourthperiod.com, also SiriusXM Radio. Crazy story involving a prominent NHL goaltender. Well, I shouldn't say prominent, but an NHL goaltender that emerged in the last 24 hours. I want to ask him about that and a whole bunch more. But let me finish the point on Lamar Jackson, and it's this. You're now at a standstill in this sort of thing until we get to the point where they can make the decision to put the franchise tag on Lamar Jackson. They have two options. They could just let him go altogether, which they're not going to do. They could work out a deal between the two sides, or they could franchise tag him. And then he gets the average of the top 5 QB salaries. He'll make a ton of money for 1 year. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, you could franchise somebody 2 years before you have to let them become an unrestricted free agent, if I'm not mistaken, unless the rules have changed on that, and I don't think they have. So Jackson could get franchise tagged, and then he could pull the nuclear card and say, well, I'm not going to report if you tag me. I'll sit out the year. I don't care. And he doesn't get paid, and they don't have a quarterback next year, and he winds up basically rotting on the sidelines. And you know what? That's a risky play because sometimes the NFL moves on. This league can move on. Or they figure out a way to work it out and it doesn't get to that point. But if Lamar Jackson should choose the option of sitting out if he gets franchise tagged, if he makes that decision, it will have proven that he really does value the long-term dollars over winning with his teammates. He will only reinforce what many believed to be true yesterday, that the reason he wasn't playing wasn't because he couldn't, it's because he wouldn't, because he didn't get the deal he wanted. And he just said, I'm going to take my ball and go home. There's no other way to view it if he makes the choice after getting franchise tagged to not play. So everybody who's defending him right now and saying, no, he was really hurt, this is what it's about, you better all hold your breath because you're all going to look stupid. Because if he elects to sit out because he doesn't get his deal and instead chooses to sit out if he gets the franchise tag, well, then it just tells you it was about the money. Which, by the way, he'd make a ton next year. I think it would be, $40 or $45 million, if I'm not mistaken, next year. If you're talking about the average of, the top QBs in the league, he's going to make ridiculous money. Yes, for 1 year. But when you combine it with whatever else he's made, again, it's hard for me to feel sorry for you. You know what you get when you sign up for this league. Oh, I don't want to risk getting hurt because then I can't. But you sign up for that. You're a running quarterback that happens to throw the football okay. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My sympathy quotient is not there when it comes to Lamar Jackson. Nick Ferguson and I were on the show last week, and we disagree about this. He thinks, you got to do right by the player. Of course, he's coming at it from the player's perspective, and I get it. And to some degree, and I even said this last week, I understand where Lamar Jackson's coming from. I don't agree with it. Because, again, he got a fair contract offer. $133 million guaranteed for 5 years, plus a total overall compensation deal of $250 million if it went the length of the deal. And the other thing I'll say about that, too, is this. Do you know how many times guys sign contracts and they wind up being renegotiated midway through? If you're performing at a high level, a contract is literally just a piece of paper that says at that moment what they think you're worth. But so many times we saw Brady do it. We've seen Aaron Rodgers do it. These guys renegotiate these deals and shift money around and move money around all the time in these contracts To me, what's going on here from Lamar Jackson, in some ways, even though it doesn't seem it because he's looking for a long-term deal, to me, so much of it is short-sighted, even though it should be about a long-term deal. 1-800-224-2004. All right, we'll switch gears, do a little hockey for a few minutes. A few stories I want to bounce around the league with Dennis Bernstein of thefourthperiod.com, SiriusXM NHL Radio. We'll get into it with him. We'll continue to keep eyes on the Cowboys and Buccaneers. We'll have all the post-game covered when it's done. Don't go anywhere. Much more to do. It's the cash-in from SportsMap Radio. Yeah, it's my boy. I'm talking to him forever. Yep. Wow. Ringing endorsement. Holy Moses. Let us live in peace. Wow. Wowie zowie. Yes, he's a terrific dude. He really is. I love Dennis. I think I got some leafy greens stuck in between my teeth. I must look really good on camera. Let me know when we have a minute left. Hold on, Dennis. Hold on. Be a good idea if I get this turned on. Hold on, Dennis. Hold on. Good to have you with us tonight. I was just ruminating during the break on this Brett Maher situation. And him not being able to hit an extra point with our guest tonight, Dennis Bernstein, who joins us in the 2-for-1 slot from SiriusXM NHL Radio, also thefourthperiod.com. And Dennis joins us on the hotline tonight. We were talking about there's no equivalent to this in hockey, is there? You know, the missing 4 extra points thing. Is it a goalie that just suddenly can't stop anything? Like, does that ever happen? Do goalies go through ruts like that?
It's not like an individual, but you remember Seattle's game in Chicago last week. They had 6 goals on 7 shots. So that goalie, yeah, I guess so. I forget which goalie it was. He got pulled out. The save percentage was 200. That would be the closest thing. But it would be like, that's not even close because that's a team thing. It would be if a guy got 3 penalty shots in one game and missed all 3. That would be the closest thing. But this is. I want Dallas to score another touchdown just to see what happens on the extra point if he goes out there or they go for 2. But it's hard to have some equivalency in the NHL to what's going through Brett Maher tonight.
Yeah, it's got to be brutal. So Austin Matthews is back, and look, I mean this Maple Leafs team, with 59 points, second in the Atlantic Division right now, and they're about to get a whole lot better with Matthews returning.
Yeah, they've lost a couple, 5-4-1 in their last 10. They're a really good team, Jay. The problem is that you have this monolith called the Boston Bruins in that division, who always beat Toronto in the postseason, and so Toronto might in fact be at some point the second best team in the league, but it's going to be really tough to get out of the Atlantic again because Tampa Bay, I think they've won 4 straight. I think they've won 10 in a row. They won in Seattle earlier today. It's going to be a climb for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're playing well. They're getting good goaltending. They're playing really good defense. But again, the gauntlet that you have to do to get out of the Atlantic, and Jay, that's just to get out of the division. Then you got the Metro with 6 really good teams. It's going to be a bear. It's a different type of bear because remember last year in the East, by the time we got to Christmas, you know what 8 teams were going to get in. Now there's a 9th team. Maybe if Florida bounces back a little bit and they've been playing better, maybe there's 10. But for Toronto, it's tough because they just have no postseason success, no track record there. So to play teams like Boston, like Tampa, and who's ever going to come out of the Metro, it's a real gauntlet for that team. So they're a really quality team. I just don't have confidence in the postseason that they can put together, 3 or 4 rounds to get to a cup final.
Try to put this Bruins start in perspective. I mean, they've got, 34 wins now? Yeah. The record in an NHL season, regular season, is 62. I think that was the Red Wings in the mid-90s that did that. I mean, is this team that kind of good? How do you try to put it in some perspective for me?
The equivalency for me would be the Detroit Tigers start in 84. We're already 35-5, something like that. I think that's how good this team is. And they've only lost once at home in regulation, and to Seattle of all teams. It's a great start. They're playing great defense. They're well coached. And Jim Montgomery, the guy got handed a 107-point team, which is a really good team in NHL perspective from last season. But this is just over the top. You have a kid like Linus Ulmer coming in from Buffalo and doing great things. It's fair to lose at this point, Jay. It's just I've watched this team play. They don't panic in the third period. They just find ways to win. They're 13-4-1 on the road. They're just clicking on all cylinders. And the thing with this team, in the past, Boston's been really good, but they were a one-line team. Marchand, Pasternak, and Patrice Bergeron. Now this team is deep. When you have once Jake DeBrusk comes back, you got a player like Taylor Hall on the third line. This is a team that can go deep. This is a team that will right now be the favorite. Much as like Carolina, and I picked them to win the Cup. This team has to be a prohibitive favorite right now to come out of the East and be the East representative in the Stanley Cup final because, Jay, teams just don't play 837 point percentage teams. I mean, this team's on track for like 134 points. You'd have to go back to the dominant Canadians of like the 70s to say, and you mentioned the Red Wings as well. That's how good this team has played. But again, how is this team playing 20 games left in the season? Are they peaking? The only concern, if I'm a Bruins fan, have they peaked? Like, this is just too good. You lose 5 games out of 43. It's just been an incredible run. They deserve it. They're smart. They're fast. They're well coached. They're big. But again, it all gets set to 0 at game 83.
Yeah.
So we'll see how good the Bruins are.
And that's the thing. We're talking with Dennis Bernstein, SiriusXM NHL Radio, thefourthperiod.com as well. This is the thing for me. Hockey is so different than any other sport in this regard, and you know what I'm going to say. You get to the postseason, you could put up 130 points. That's great. But at the end of the day, if you run into a hot goaltender in the postseason, It doesn't matter what you did during the regular season.
No, man, it matters. And that's why I love the Stanley Cup playoffs, especially the first round. It's crazy. I will guarantee you there's going to be an upset in the first round. It's going to be the Bruins. I don't think so, because it's probably this point, Jay, because you look at the separation in the Atlantic. So it's going to be one of the teams out of the Metro. So probably Washington or Pittsburgh. Could Washington or Pittsburgh rise up and beat Boston? Well, if Ovi goes nuts or Sid and Gino go crazy, possibly. Those teams don't have great track records since the Caps and Pens have won a cup. They haven't been great in the playoffs, but yeah, it's totally possible. Like, there's so much parity in this league. I mean, look at Seattle. How could you say that there's not parity in this league when you watch a team that was an expansion team last season, wasn't very good, and now no team has won 7 straight on the road, ever. Like, they set an NHL record by winning 7 straight on the road. Nobody's ever done it. So, yes, if Boston got knocked out, I don't think they're that type of team because they're a confident team. It was Toronto in first place, and they were playing a walk-off team. Like, I'm not sure they're ever going to win anything. But with Boston, yes, if they ran in front of a hot goaltender, I just don't believe in the teams right now that the wild-card opposition for them would be Washington or Pittsburgh. I don't see them beating them in the first round. But, yeah, it's totally conceivable that you could have a high seed go out because the team gets hot, they get a cut goalie, they get hot on their power play because power plays have really been clicking at a high percentage this season. So it's going to be interesting once we get to April and May who survives out of these rounds.
I know he's not playing, and I don't even know how interested you are in this story, how much you know about it, but this story about Robin Lehner is kind of bizarre in Las Vegas. He's got apparently a $50 million in debt, files for bankruptcy. You know, again, I know he's not playing. He signed a $25 million deal with the Knights in 2020. Apparently he's going to have to sign a lot more of them than that.
Sure. Yeah, and you're concerned about a guy who has had mental health problems in the past and has been public about it. And I don't like him as a player, to be honest with you, but as a person, he's been very brave to go public with his challenges and issues. But that's probably the last person that should be going through a bankruptcy right now. I worry about him off the ice. I worry about his future. Like, how is he going to handle this? And now it's gone public. And it's an embarrassing situation. And that's what happens. He was working with a loan shark, and even his own agency that arrested him. That's what happens. Now, this is not unusual, Jay, at least from an agency standpoint, where agencies do lend players money against their contracts, their future earnings. It does happen. It's not that unique. The fact that what he did with it with an exotic snake farm, and he dealt with a loan shark as well, that goes to his mental health. Like, should he have been doing that with all this money? No, and now it's a situation where you just concern yourself because he's out injured for the season. So it's a guaranteed contract, so he'll earn that money. But what's his future off the ice and in life? That's what I concern myself with this player. I'm far more concerned about his future than his playing future at this point.
Dennis, you mentioned Seattle a moment ago, and I always love to tease you about the fact that I'm in their AHL market here in Palm Springs, California, where they are, I think, the best team in the AHL, if not certainly one of the best teams in the AHL. So the future is obviously bright for the organization as well. But you look atop the Pacific right now, and it's Las Vegas and Seattle. Hardly blue bloods, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and LA third. So, yeah, Edmonton and Calgary, they're 4th and 5th right now. But, yeah, it's up for grabs now. Vegas is in a tough spot right now. They're 5-4 and won the last 10. They lost at home today to Edmonton. Mark Stone, who's Jack Eichel is their best player, the most skilled player, but they've had a lot of injuries. We talked about Leonard being out. But Mark Stone being out, he's the heart and soul. He's the engine. He's week to week. And, Jay, when a player's injured and they say week to week in the NHL, it's never a week. So this is probably something that's a couple weeks, a month out. It's going to be a real horse race coming down the stretch. The final 35, 36 games for Seattle, Vegas, LA. It's going to be close. It's going to be him who's ever playing well down the stretch. And Seattle's got a lot of cap space. So when you hear about a guy, Bo Horvat, who scored 30 goals up in Vancouver, and that's a tire fire right now, he's going to probably get traded because they can't afford him because he's in a career year, putting up all these goals. If they could get Bo Horvat, then I would kind of say down the stretch, believe it or not, they would be the favorites to win the division right now if they're the healthiest and they can make a trade for one other player. And I think in the West, Jay, the one overarching theme is you look at Colorado. They're out of the playoffs right now. I know they're really banged up and really injured, I now question if they're ever going to be healthy for this season. You know, Landon Scott's still out there, but so is there going to be a team of Vegas, of Seattle, LA? You could go down the list, Winnipeg. If one team takes a big swing at the trade deadline, they get a pivotal player, a difference maker, a team that we don't know, like a Winnipeg or a Dallas, could come out of the West.
It's interesting.
And be the West representative in the playoffs. Dennis
Bernstein, he never is the Shanks. Sirius XM NHL Radio. Thank you, my friend.
Well, it's a pleasure, JP. Appreciate the time.
We'll come back. More to do in this hour. There's another score in the Cowboys-Buccaneers game. We'll tell you who got it next on the Cash In at SportsMap Radio. Thanks, Dennis.
Always a pleasure, JP.
You're the best. Thank you. Bye-bye.
So, likewise. Bye-bye.
Bad game. Yeah, till after the half, yeah. What? Okay. Another touchdown. Well, there's been 2 scores since we last talked about this game. First, the Buccaneers get a touchdown to make it 24-6, and then moments later on a 4th and 4 down in the red zone, the Cowboys get a touchdown pass. Wide open CeeDee Lamb from Dak Prescott. It's now 31-6. Hold on. Did he make an extra point? Did Brett Maher actually? He made an extra point. Wow. From the pages of thanks for doing your job. So Maher hits his first extra point of the night. We were just talking with Dennis Bernstein from SiriusXM NHL Radio and the fourthperiod.com about basically wanting to see the Cowboys score again just so we could see if Brett Maher would go 0 for 5 on extra point attempts. I'm surprised they even tried another one. I mean, he's so traumatized at this point. You worry about him being broken. You know? Something just snaps at a guy's head and they can't hit extra points anymore. It's kind of tough. Kind of tough to fix that. But yeah, that Robin Lehner story we were talking about with Dennis is kind of crazy. So just to kind of give you details, the deeds. $50 million in debts to dozens of creditors. Filed for bankruptcy in Nevada. Nevada. If you don't say it wrong, people in Nevada get pissed. The Chapter 7 bankruptcy filing offers a glimpse into the couple's financial problems, him and his wife, including money owed to no fewer than 50 people and companies. Wow. Filed for bankruptcy on December 30th, months after a Wisconsin company sued Lehner for $4 million, claiming Lehner and his father failed to make any payments last year on a business loan. Both Lehner and his father, Michael, are listed as principal members in a Nevada business license filing for Solar Code, a limited liability corporation doing business in multiple states, including Nevada and Arizona. So he's got all sorts of issues. And that's, again, it's sad. He and his wife, Danya, estimate their assets are worth up to $10 million. So he signed a 5-year deal for $25 million in 2020. He's 31 years old. Man, could you imagine playing like professional sports, major league professional sports for that long and coming out of it and just being completely bankrupt and broke? Who was it happened to a couple of NBA players. God, I can't remember their names. God, who was his name? Was it Anton Jameson that it happened to? I can't remember. I feel bad if I just like sullied the name of Anton Jameson. I'm sure he'll forgive me. But I thought he was like one of those NBA players. Happened to a bunch of guys that had Darius Miles filed for bankruptcy. That's another one. Yeah, there's been more than a few professional athletes. You know, and I used to be friendly with a guy back in my East Coast days whose sole job it was to educate professional athletes on, look, this is how to save your money. This is how to invest it somewhere. This is how to keep it safe. The guy I always point to is Rob Gronkowski. Gronk. I'm sure I've shared this story on the air. Rob Gronkowski, by the time he retired, had never spent a penny of what he made as a player. Lived strictly off his endorsement money. Drove the same car. He wasn't like some big freewheeling, big spender. None of that. Everybody likes to think of Gronk as, this big, doofus who, I can't read what's on the teleprompter. I'm really dumb. He's actually got you all fooled. He's a lot smarter than you think he is. Because that dude was able to retire from the NFL at a very young age. And, doesn't have to play another down in his life if he doesn't want to. While a lot of these guys are going to have, mashed potatoes and scrambled eggs for brains, he'll still be just chilling out, retiring, sitting on the couch. And that's a smart dude. Still, he still got out of the game with all his faculties intact. He got it. He understood how to play the game. in terms of the financial aspect of it. So it's 31-6 Cowboys on top of the Buccaneers. A reminder, we will have complete post-game coverage when this one is done. You will hear from Tom Brady. You will hear from Mike McCarthy. I don't know if I'd want to hear from Todd Bowles. Look, I think Todd Bowles is a nice guy. I think he's a great coordinator. But the idea of Todd Bowles as a successful head coach has now come and gone. His time with the Jets and now here in Tampa Bay. And we can talk about personnel all we want, and some guys don't get, loaded up with great rosters and be head coaches and all that stuff. I just don't think he's a particularly good head coach. And the whole move to him after Arians retired and went upstairs, by the way, the smartest guy in the room, talk about that guy. Bruce Arians, he knew when to get out. That dude knew when it was time. Hey, I know what's coming down the pike. I know what this roster looks like. You want the job, Todd Bowles? You can have it. Same thing for Byron Leftwich. Byron Leftwich could have been an NFL head coach. I'm sure there were jobs out there, and I know the Rooney Rule and minority hirings in the NFL is not the greatest thing. I don't know how aggressive he was about wanting to be a head coach this season, but now after this year, as the offensive coordinator for a team that did absolutely nothing, good luck. Now you're stuck there trying to fix this. And if somebody else comes in or if management views you as being the problem, Byron Leftwich could be out of a job. A year ago, he was one of the sweethearts that everybody wanted to interview for a head coaching job. And now what do you got? Nothing. Whole bunch of nothing. So, look, I'll say this. I was hoping we would get a 49ers matchup with the Cowboys in a potential NFC championship game. Instead, we're going to get it next week. And look, coming off this game, a lot of people are going to have some good vibes about Dallas. But if anybody watched, and we'll get into it as we go through the show tonight, I'm going to go through all the games in greater detail, and we'll talk about it. You guys can weigh in too at 800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. If anybody watched that 49ers team, and I know they might have looked a little sluggish in the first half and been taken a little bit by surprise by the Seahawks, but who's beating this team? You can point to the Eagles all you want. You can give me all the regular season records, 14-3, blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you, the Eagles haven't played anything like what they're potentially going to face if they get by the Giants in the 49ers. I mean, this Brock Purdy thing, this is no joke. And this guy's for real. He made some plays yesterday that opened up a lot of eyes around the league. And you start to get the feeling now that this is Brock Purdy's team. This isn't a flash in the pan. This isn't, it's going to be a feel-good story, and it might be a Disney movie one day because, Mr. Irrelevant goes on to win a Super Bowl. I mean, this is the stuff that dreams are made of. But this guy's going to stick. You watch the way he's playing, and I know people are going to say, are you crazy? It's been 6 games. The league will figure him out. Well, they haven't come close to figuring him out yet. And granted, some of it's the personnel on that team. I mean, the 49ers, they give it to you on both. They are so good on both sides of the ball. They've got so many ways to beat you offensively. We all love to talk about how great they are defensively. But what makes them so good is the fact that that defense is always going to give them good field position. You're playing with a shorter field. You're always at an advantage if you're Brock Purdy because that team, you know how many times you're going to see 3 and out from that defense? I mean, if the 49ers stay healthy right now, I don't know who's beating them. You want to give me any one of the 3, Cincinnati, Buffalo, and Kansas City in the AFC? Okay. Good luck. I mean, this team is... Look, if Kyle Shanahan doesn't win a Super Bowl with this team, and I know people are going to say, that's not fair. He's playing with his third-string quarterback. That excuse goes out the window when your third-string quarterback is 6-0. And you just mollywopped Seattle in the wild card round. The excuses are just not there. If the 49ers don't win, a lot of the blame's going to go to Kyle Shanahan, fairly or unfairly. Players win, coaches lose, yada, yada, yada. I know. 2nd and goal coming up for the Buccaneers. We'll let you know what happens on the other side of the top of the hour. Trying to make a game of it late. I'm Jason Page. Glad to have you with us tonight on the Cash In. Another hour right around the corner on SportsMap Radio. Oh my God. Brady's made some bad passes in this game. Jesus. No, I don't think that. I don't think he's checked out. He's way too much of a competitor to check out. Well, Vegas has made it clear they want him. I think that's where he's going to wind up. I've been saying it for a while. Hey, you reignite him with Josh McDaniel. You give him Devontae Adams. They've got a running game. I mean, got to shore up the offensive line a little bit. Got to decide if he wants to put himself through it another year, though. What are you chasing? You just turn it over on downs? Yeah, it turned over on downs. Huh. I'm ready, maybe. But around Another hour of the show starts right now. SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. And look, if you're watching, you're probably not listening to me. But if you were watching or listening to or keeping tabs on this Buccaneers Cowboys game, which if you're listening to us on our fine affiliate in Dallas, 97.1 The Freak, you're certainly watching. Soak it in. This might be the last time you see Tom Brady. I don't think it will be. But there are still many that believe this is it for Brady. That he'll retire after this game. And, he got one more shot at the postseason with a team that really shouldn't have been there. I mean, what are you still playing for if you're Tom Brady? I was just talking about this with our producer, engineer extraordinaire, The Standard, a.k.a. The Standard, John Belmer, who's working on the show tonight. And he thinks Brady's coming back. I have thought all along, if you've listened to this show, I've told you ad nauseum, I thought he was coming back. I thought he'd land in San Francisco. Of course, this was before we found out the second coming of Tom Brady and Brock Purdy was going to be their starting quarterback and go 6-0 and lead him into the second round of the postseason. I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. But that takes San Francisco probably out of the equation, which means now you're talking about Las Vegas and pretty much Las Vegas. I mean, could you ever see Tom Brady going to play for the Jets? Oh, my God, the headlines. Could you imagine if he went to go play for an AFC East team, that being the Jets, playing the Patriots twice a year? Oh, my God, sign me up for that. You give Zach Wilson a year to play under Brady. See if he could fix him in the meantime. I mean, let's be honest. That Jets team has talent. Is he going to want to go play for the Jets, though? Playing in a cold weather city. I mean, he does have reasons to be up there. Boy, that would be interesting. I mean, if he's a free agent, and the Jets have talked about going and getting a veteran quarterback, what makes more sense in that regard than Tom Brady? If he still wants to play. And that's why we're going to be following the postgame very closely. We will have full postgame reaction from Brady, which should be a very interesting postgame presser. Mike McCarthy, Dak Prescott, the cast of however many that take to the podium that we see fit to put on the show. But let's talk about it from a Cowboys perspective here for a second. This is what you wanted to see. This was the Cowboys team that, through the middle part of the season, had me talking about them in the same vein as being a Super Bowl contender, team that could come out of the NFC. I don't know what happens if they get out of the NFC, but I certainly felt all along that this was that type of team. Now, over the last several weeks, they had not played to this level. They had not been firing on all cylinders. This was a team tonight, though, that is firing on all cylinders. Now, I was kind of curious to see if they'd leave Brady in there until the end, or if they'd let him have kind of a ceremonial moment where he gets to come off the field. I wonder if Todd Bowles is kind of discussing that with him at all, or if it's just not even part of the conversation. I mean, look, this is Willie Mays bad. This is Willie Mays with the Mets bad right now. He's taking snaps. He's falling all over. This isn't going to be the way he wants to be remembered. This is not going to be the way he wants to end his career. But I'm curious to hear from Cowboy fans tonight, and we know you're all over the country. 1-800-224-2004 is the phone number. 800-224-2004. You can tweet at the show as well at the back page. Has this renewed your faith in this Cowboys team? I can't wait to see what the opening line is for them in San Francisco next week against the 49ers. Because I'm not going to lie to you. I just don't know. I have a very hard time believing that even playing this well, I mean, if they play this well, I'll give them a puncher's chance next week in San Francisco. I mean, this was the Dak Prescott you wanted to see. This is the Dak you've wanted to see throughout, this entire season. Don't turn the football over. Stay within yourself. 4 touchdowns for Dak Prescott tonight in this game. Brady, by the way, 30 of 55 for 308 yards. And don't let the numbers fool you. It's a lot of garbage time right now. But he's still out there. And there's only 3:45 left on the clock. And look, Las Vegas seems to be the place that makes sense, with Derek Carr certainly sure to be on his way out. You know, you wonder if Derek Carr could be the quarterback. Could they trade places? You know, you think about all the places that Derek Carr could wind up next year. We've talked about the Jets. You think about teams that need a veteran quarterback. I'd be shocked if Derek Carr wasn't starting in the league next year. Indianapolis, they've run the gamut of veteran quarterbacks there. Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz. I mean, who hasn't played quarterback? So, you know, Derek Carr could be another possible sort of transitional quarterback while they figure out what their needs are at that position and who they want to go and get. But Tom Brady in Las Vegas, and Vegas has already made it clear they want to talk to him. Everybody knows that Las Vegas wants to talk to him. You reunite him with Josh McDaniels. You team him up with Devontae Adams. If there's anybody that can sort of elevate and rejuvenate Brady at 45, it just sounds crazy to say. You would think it's a guy like Devontae Adams. Going to be a lot of it. This is going to be, I'm telling you, I'm looking more forward to this NFL offseason than I was the regular season, because there's going to be so much movement. There's going to be so much player movement in this offseason. There really is. But you look at Brady, he's still got that look in his eye, like he still wants it. This isn't a guy taking a ceremonial final stroll down the field. He still wants to prove he can do it, whether it's to himself. Again, I don't know what to read into the fact that he's still in this game, if it's some sort of signal, whether it's just his competitive will, his spirit, whatever it may be. Is he going to really run this back for another year? 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. And again, you can tweet at us at the back page. I'm sure Cowboy fans will have a lot to say after this one has officially concluded. I don't think Cowboy fans are popping the cork by any stretch of the imagination right now. I think they're gonna wait till it's officially over. They're a little bruised from years of disappointment. Just saying. We'll get into the other wild card weekend games as we go through this hour of the show as well. We haven't even touched on the Chargers debacle in Jacksonville on Saturday night. I'll tell you a funny story about that. Do I have time to tell it now? I got a few minutes here, don't I? So Saturday, I bowled in a trios tournament. I might have mentioned it on the show last week. I decided to give it another shot bowling a tournament, even though I've been bowling so terrible in tournaments that I had decided I really wasn't going to bowl competitively in tournaments anymore. I just don't need it. Bowling league, stuff like that. But so I got wrangled into bowling a 3-person tournament, and it was a mixed trios. So 2 guys, 1 female. So I got my my very best bowling friend and another female bowler that we're friends with, and the 3 of us went and decided to bowl in this trios tournament. We bowled in the last squad, 4 games, blah, blah, blah. We wound up winning the tournament. True story. So by the time we got home, because we had to wait to get paid out, all that stuff. By the time we got home, it was basically close to halftime on the Jacksonville-San Diego game. And it was 28-0 Chargers, or 24-0, whatever it was, Chargers. And I said, well, I guess, I'll leave it on for a few more minutes. Jaguars get a late touchdown into the half. What was it? 27-0. Sorry, it was 27. It was 27-0. And Jacksonville got a late touchdown at the end of the first half, and they moved the ball well on that drive. And it led me to say, it's the Chargers just for the hell of it. I'm gonna hang in with this game a little bit longer. Boy, am I glad I did. As probably much of America was glad they did. Because as bad as Trevor Lawrence was in the first half, he was that good in the second half. And the Chargers, once again, were the Chargers. They did what they always do in a big spot. They metaphorically died in front of you. And you got to feel for Justin Herbert, who's obviously going to be a great quarterback in this league for many years to come. But to go through that, not good. Not good at all. If you're on hold, by the way, don't move. I don't want to shortchange you on time. So if you're on hold, don't move. We got a quick break here coming. And then we'll take the calls on the other side. Talk about this Dallas win in Tampa Bay. Yes, I'm calling it a Dallas win, and don't tell me I'm jinxing anything. There's no such thing as jinxes. Cowboys are going to win this game. They're moving on to the divisional playoff round. They'll take on the 49ers next week out in Santa Clara. We'll come back and talk about it. 1-800-224-2004 from anywhere in America. 800-224-2004. We'll give you the latest on this Cowboys-Buccaneers game and more as we continue on the Cash In. I'm Jason Page. This is SportsMap Radio. Oh, I don't know. Shit. How did he get hit? I didn't see the hit.
Nobody is left on the sideline for Tampa Bay. Most of the Dallas defense is out there on the field. Just Ryan Suckup is the only one over there.
I don't see any ambulance, at least.
Trying to stay loose on this chilly night in Tampa Bay, but
Yeah, I saw that.
just a frightening sight watching Russell Gage try to get up and not being able to.
Oh, no. They said he tried to get up and couldn't? See if I can find a highlight. Oh, what happened? I'm going to look at it right now on Twitter. Shit.
They're able to get Russell Gage and the backboard up.
Yeah, of course. Never fails.
We will stay here as they make their way off the field. Sobering moment here with 2 minutes and 55 seconds left in this. It's turned into a blowout win, it appears, for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
So we will take a break, come back. Third down and 10 for Tampa Bay when we return.
I just want to see what happened. I still haven't seen it. I can't find it. Oh, did you? All right. Oh, yeah, you could see him trying to get his head up. Interesting. Another one of these injuries in an NFL game that just makes you cringe. Russell Gage just moments ago. Injured on a play, carried off on a backboard. Ugh, yeesh. Yeah, I finally saw the play where the injury had taken place. His neck kind of got twisted in a weird way. And especially in a game where the outcome's basically already been decided. You know, seeing injuries at any time is tough, but seeing them in a game where the game's basically over doesn't make you feel any better. That's for sure. 4th down and 3. Brady and the Buccaneers go for it and get a first down inside the Cowboys 10, trailing 31-6 with about 2:30 to go in the 4th. We'll keep you up to date on what the final outcome winds up being there. A touchdown here would make it a 16-point game, something like that, which was interesting because there was a point earlier in this game where I think the line was 21.5. So now you'd be looking at a cover if you had taken them on that live betting line down 21.5, because this will probably wind up being the final score of the game. Is that a Buccaneers touchdown? Might have been. It is a Buccaneers touchdown. So Brady throws another touchdown. He's thrown for over 300 yards in this game, but he's also thrown it almost 60 times. And there was no way, there was no formula in which the Buccaneers were going to win this game if Tom Brady had to throw it 60 times for them to win. He's thrown it 61 times. I mean, my God, can you find a running game? Oh, postseason Lenny is here. Playoff Lenny is here. Please, like Lenny of Mice and Men. God. I mean, the Buccaneers have rushed it for 52 yards on 12 carries tonight. On what planet was that ever going to win? And then I'm sitting here saying to myself, how could I have picked them plus 2.5? I think it was as much about, no faith in the Cowboys after the way they played over the final few games of the season. When I was the biggest advocate for the Cowboys all year long until this final, stretch of the season where Dak Prescott was throwing it to everybody except his own team. But now tonight, your faith has to be restored in this Cowboys team, or do you take it the other way and say, this is just about how bad the Buccaneers are? And the Cowboys did what they were supposed to do. I mean, is that what angle do you come at it from? I'm curious to see what Cowboys fans, I think, are, and I'm not saying this to placate our listeners in Dallas, because anybody who knows me knows I don't care to placate anybody for as long as I've been doing this. Just ask people in Boston. I tend to think Dallas fans are going to be a bit more cautious with their optimism, given the fact that this was the Buccaneers. But you saw everything you wanted to see tonight. I mean, the Cowboys rushed it for 129 yards of offense. Dak didn't throw it to the other team. He only got sacked once. I mean, his quarterback rating right now is 143.3. I mean, good grief. Buccaneers get the 2-point conversion after the touchdown. Cowboys lead 31-14. I'm sure we'll see an onside kick here in short order with this game at 31-14. Buccaneers do have all 3 of their timeouts. But again, this game's over. You're talking about a 3-score game with 2:04 to go. And I don't care what miracles you believe in. This ain't happening. Dalton Schultz tonight, 7 for 95, a couple of touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb, a touchdown catch. Michael Gallup, a touchdown catch. And again, I've said all along, I thought this Cowboys team could win without Odell Beckham Jr., who obviously hasn't even wound up being a factor because of the fact that he is not going to play this year. But even if he had been able to play, I was of the mindset the Cowboys didn't need him. The Cowboys have enough options for Dak Prescott to throw the football to. And the late season edition of T.Y. Hilton was a great pickup for this team. Dak Prescott hit 8 different receivers tonight. And they've played as perfect a football game as you could possibly play. Yeah, they gave up a couple of touchdowns late in the game. You're playing to the scoreboard at that point. I don't care. But how do they match up with the 49ers next week? I can't wait to see what the opening line is on that game. Thoughts on the Jaguars and Chargers? Look, San Diego, I don't know how you don't at least entertain the idea of going out and changing the head coach when a team loses this kind of lead. And some of the decision-making of Brandon Staley, which hasn't just been suspect here. It's been suspect all year. It's been suspect his entire time with the Chargers. And, you might want to run the football a few times when you have a big lead. You might want to try and run some clock off. You might want to try and take some air out of the football. Nah, we're just going to throw it all day with Justin Herbert. We're gonna give the other team some opportunities. I mean, they ran it for 67 yards in this game, and don't tell me they couldn't run it for more or run it more often. They completely abandoned the run once they got a big lead in this game. And Jacksonville didn't, interestingly enough. When they got behind, they still were willing to run the football. They stayed true to who their identity was. And the Chargers stayed true to theirs. They choked up a lead. Just remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. Cameron Dicker missed a big field goal in this game. Don't forget, this score was 31-30. How much different this game could have been if Cameron Dicker makes the field goal that he missed in this game. So, did Tampa Bay get the onside kick? They must have. They got the football back. Oh, my God. I can just hear Cowboy fans right now losing their minds. Oy vey. It ain't over till it's over. 1:34 to go in the fourth. Just padding the numbers for Brady here. In his final game as a Buccaneer. Oh, God, a vicious hit over the middle. Jesus, Mary. Oh, did you see that? Oh. Just a brutal hit over the middle. Hopefully the receiver's okay. I think it was the tight end. Oh, terrible collision. I don't even think it was anything intentional, but just an awful collision. It looks like everybody's okay. 2nd and 10 for the Buccaneers. I just want to see him score again. Not going to happen. As Brady goes down in the backfield, he's sacked. I don't know how many times. I think that's the 3rd sack of the night. Against Brady, but he's been on his backside the whole game. He's now thrown it 64 times in this game. And look, I don't think it mattered whether it was the Jags or the Chargers that came out of this game or how it broke down. Neither of these teams were beating the Chiefs next week. And I say that, I don't say that with any disrespect towards the Jaguars, who are, it's a great story what they've done. They've changed the culture of this team. All that is wonderful. But at the end of the day, I don't think anybody should be surprised if, Kansas City gets a win next week at home against this Jaguars team. However, say this, Evan Engram was really good in the second half of that game. I think he's a great weapon for this team. Jacksonville's, they're certainly not going to roll over. And you're playing with house money if you're Jacksonville at this point. You didn't only make the postseason, you won a game in the postseason. Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, all those guys. Travis Etienne. But boy, Trevor Lawrence, what a wild story. First guy since Ben Roethlisberger throw 4 touchdowns after throwing 4 interceptions. Wild, wild game. And again, other than Sean Payton, because there's news today that Jim Harbaugh is going to stay put in Michigan with the Wolverines. Now all of a sudden the list of guys, D'Amico Ryans, Sean Payton. I mean, where are the Chargers going if they do decide to cut ties with Brandon Staley, which doesn't sound like it's going to happen. I heard Bill Plaschke, who's with the LA Times, a longtime columnist out there, saying, look, he went in for his exit interview on Sunday, which means they're probably not firing him. Again, the caveat to all that is, and I've said this all along, Sean Payton could basically pick his next football team. It's not them picking him. It's Sean Payton picking his next team. If Sean Payton walks into the Chargers ownership's office and says, I want to be the head coach of your team, are they going to take him up on it? Now, keep in mind, the Chargers have been notoriously cheap over the years. I don't know if they're going to want to pay his asking price. We'll come back with the latest from this Buccaneers-Cowboys game as we continue on the Cash-In. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Love it. Let me look.
All the way back. Oh my goodness.
Just got the shanks a little bit.
I don't know.
We got lots of analysts up there in the owner's box, right? We got extra analysts up there. I think we good hold.
Listen, he's been money all
Bless his
season.
heart. I know. Bless his heart.
He's a little bit of a funk right now. I think he just needs one of these long field goals. Is what he needs.
Yeah, exactly. I think Eli called that early. The extra points.
Yeah.
He did it.
Unbelievable.
Stand by. This is a big play here.
Unbelievable.
Bless his heart. Oh, they got that shot of Brady walking off. That's the one they want. That's the money shot. Yeah, sure. You can now.
Unbelievable.
Stand by.
Oh, the line's already up for the game next week. Yeah. I didn't see it. Didn't see it. Sorry. Joe Buck the Call on ESPN. Cowboys win it. They're moving on. 31-14 the final in Tampa Bay. Look, I mean, the Buccaneers are, to quote Dennis Green, they are who they thought we were. Yeah, and I mean, if you looked at the Buccaneers this year, they are exactly who you thought they were. They were this very, mediocre football team that didn't belong in the playoffs, but somebody from that division had to go. And credit to the Cowboys. They went on the road, even though they were the better team, shouldn't have been traveling on the road. Just a victim of playing in a really good division this year. And by the way, that NFC East, you're finding out just how damn good it is. With the Eagles, and you know what they've done. The Cowboys, who you just watched, and the Giants went on the road in Minnesota. You saw two NFC East teams go on the road in Super Wild Card Weekend and get wins. And impressive wins. So, not saying, I'm just saying. I mean, my God, has there ever been an NFC East this good? 3 teams all playing this well. And who knows what happens with the Giants next week in Philadelphia against the Eagles. I mean, Philadelphia is going to have to do something that I don't think they've ever done before, and that's beat the Giants 3 times in one season. And they're going to be playing a really confident Giants team. I'll be curious to see how the line shifts on that game. We'll do the lines later on these NFL postseason games for next weekend. We'll do that coming up a little later on in the show. There's even a Cowboy. You know what? I'll give you this one now because I know Cowboys fans are listening, especially in Dallas on 97.1, The Freak, our affiliate there. Cowboys are a 4.5-point underdog next week in San Francisco. That's pretty damn close. For as good as the Niners have been, that's a lot of respect for the Cowboys. When you consider the juggernaut that the 49ers have been, I think they were averaging, going into yesterday or Saturday, I think they were averaging 36 a game with Brock Purdy at quarterback at home. This isn't just, a defensive juggernaut. That's not what we're talking about here when it comes to the 49ers. They can score points. Go and ask Seattle. There was a deluge of points in the second half of that game on Saturday after a game that looked pretty close through 2 quarters. No total available yet on that game, just the opening line, which is Cowboys plus 4.5. And boy, they better get Brent Maher figured out. Because you could say all you want, one game, just a fluke thing. They're going to need everything they have to win that game in San Francisco or in Santa Clara, as it would be, next weekend. That's going to be the late Sunday game. That'll be the Sunday night game in Santa Clara, by the way, for those of you that are wondering. The schedule looks like this. Jaguars-Chiefs on Saturday in the early game. Saturday night, Giants-Eagles. Sunday early, it'll be the Bengals and the Bills. And then Sunday evening, Cowboys and the 49ers. So that's what you got for the divisional round coming up next weekend. 1-800-224-2004. Let's hear from you. Buccaneers fans, Brady fans, Cowboy fans, any fans of teams around the league. We haven't gone through all the games yet. We've only talked about the Chargers, the Ravens, and now obviously we've sunk our teeth a little bit into this Cowboys win, which, again, all phases of the game, with the exception of Brent Maher, all phases of the game, this team could not have looked better. Speaking of the Brent Maher, should we do it to Cowboy fans? I know they're not going to love me for this, but on the Manning cast, after he had already missed, 3 straight extra points in this game, he had missed his first 3. The Cowboys made it 24-0. Here's Brent Maher getting ready to attempt his 4th extra point of the game. Eli Manning, Peyton Manning, and Lions coach Dan Campbell were watching it on the Manning cast. Listen.
Unbelievable.
Stand by. This is a big play here. This is a big play right here.
This kicker is
He'll nail this
hoping.
one.
He was hoping he could kick it from the 2-yard line instead of, having to go all the way back. Oh, my goodness.
Just got the shanks a little bit.
I don't even know what to say.
Now we got lots of analysts up there in the owner's box, right? We got extra analysts up there.
Well,
I think good hold.
Listen, he's been money all
Bless his
season.
heart. I know. Bless his heart.
He's a little bit of a funk right now. I think he just needs one of these long field goals is what he needs.
Yeah, exactly. I think Eli called that early. The extra points are.
Yeah.
Jesus, man, that has got to be the worst feeling in the world. And it literally just glanced off the top of the right upright. And you could see him trying to compensate for whatever was wrong in his game, and he just couldn't do it. And again, you're stuck if you're the Cowboys, because this is your kicker. You're not switching kickers after the super wild card round. You see Jerry Jones in the press box just trying not to lose his mind up in the luxury suites, just trying not to lose his mind. Oh, man. Well, they got through it. As a matter of fact, the headline on ESPN.com, can I actually read this? I hope it comes across on my phone. No, it didn't. It says Cowboys win, overcome 4 missed extra points in 31-14 win. What was the last time you saw that headline? Team overcomes 4 missed extra points. I feel for you, though. I really do. I absolutely feel for you if you're Brett Maher. The good news is you got a whole week to get it fixed. You got your whole week to get it fixed out. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. If you are a Cowboys fan, I want to know if your faith has been restored in this team. If you had lost it at all, considering the way they played down the stretch. And don't call me and say you never lost any faith, because anybody who watched the way Dak Prescott really played towards the back half of the season would had to have been concerned with the way he had been turning over the football. But I'll tell you right now, I'll give the Cowboys a chance in Santa Clara next week against the 49ers if they play like this. Problem is, they're not playing Tampa Bay next week. They're playing San Francisco. And if you've watched this 49ers team, I think you understand why they are a 4.5-point favorite. Again, I'm surprised. I think this line will go up, and I'll tell you why. I think a lot of people are going to go and rush out to bet San Francisco at -4.5. And that's going to drive the line up. Because, a lot of people are going to... There's a lot of people that, if I looked at this game, I thought it would have been a 7-point spread. Given the way the Cowboys came playing into today, or tonight as it would be, I would have put this at San Francisco -7. So -4.5, I'd have to take the 49ers. By the way, our buddy Patrick McEnroe, who joined us on the show Friday, of course, ESPN tennis analyst, he picked Dallas to win this game and said we were going to play tennis when he comes out here in March for the BNP Paribas, which is the one of the largest tennis tournaments in the world after the 4 majors. It's a 2-week full-field event. So he and I are going to play tennis, and he said he was going to run my you-know-what all over the court if Dallas wins. You picture that, Belmer? Me playing tennis with Patrick McEnroe? At my current size, I can't either. It means I got about a month and a half to drop about 20 pounds. I'm going to have to go on some crazy diet just so I can get out there and run around on the court with him. I was a tennis player in high school, Belmer. Don't doubt me. Patrick once told me years ago when we were working for ESPN in New York, I asked him on the air. This was actually a conversation we had on the air where I said, do you think I could win a game off you if we play, a set or 2 out of 3 sets or a pro set or whatever? And he said, forget a game. He goes, I don't think you can get a point off of me. Yikes. Those is fighting words. Might have to put it on social media. I'll be mic'd. You could hear every curse word that comes out of my mouth. 1-800-224-2004 is the phone number. 800-224-2004. Bo, I see you're on hold. Don't move. We're coming to you next. It's the cash-in after a Cowboys win on SportsMap Radio. Yeah, just keep them warm. Yeah. Yeah. Cowboys moving on to the divisional round. 31-14 winners over the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay. And look, I I went 3-3 in Paige's picks for Wild Card Weekend, and let's be honest, I picked against the Cowboys after loving on them all year, and it was because of the way they performed over the last few weeks of the season and the fact that Tom Brady was 7-0 against the Cowboys in his career. As you found out, all good things come to an end. And it might be the end of Brady's career as well. But I want to know from Cowboy fans, 1-800-224-2004 from anywhere in America tonight, 800-224-2004. Did this game restore your faith, or do you take the opponent into consideration? I want to know how Cowboy fans feel about it. We'll start tonight with Bo in Weatherford, Texas. You're on the Cash In with Jason Page on SportsMap Radio. Hi, Bo. Doing good. Thank you, sir. Listen, they played well in all facets of the game except for Brent Maher. So I don't know how you don't come away from that game feeling good, but at the same time, when you know you're playing the 49ers next week as a Cowboys fan, you have to wonder how much of this is just the fact that the Buccaneers were a mediocre at best team all year that just happened to win a bad division versus how much of this was the Cowboys stepping up their game come playoff time. I don't know if we truly know the answer to that and how it makes you feel next week going into San Francisco to take on the 49ers. Look, if Dak Prescott, and I appreciate the call, Bo, if Dak Prescott plays this well next week, I'll give him a shot. But again, they're not playing Tampa Bay. So I don't know how you really juxtapose how you think they can play next week against San Francisco. The talent disparity. But if Tampa Bay had played San Francisco this week, they would have lost by 40. So the talent disparity between San Francisco and Tampa Bay is so large that I don't know if you can extrapolate from this game anything towards next week. But I'll tell you this, early money must be going on Dallas because the line, which we just told you was at 4.5, has already moved to 4. It's gone down. I thought it was going to go up. It's gone down. It was 4.5 just a few minutes ago when the game ended. And now the Cowboys are +4, which means a lot of early money must have gone on Dallas after this win. People who are like, oh my God, I got to run to the book and get my money on Dallas. Pump the brakes. Pump the brakes. This team is too good. The San Francisco team is too good. I'm sorry. I may have to pick against Dallas next week. And maybe if you're a Cowboys fan, you want me to pick against Dallas next week since I picked them against them this week and they won. And won convincingly. You kept waiting for a moment in this game where maybe Tampa Bay was going to turn it around, where maybe Tampa Bay was going to show you something, and it just never happened. And this is, if you want to point to one really good thing, talent disparities are talent disparities. That's all great. But if you want to point to one thing coming out of a game like this, it was the fact that Dallas never relented. They never let their foot off the gas pedal. The foot was on their throat the entire time. And if you want something to really feel good about, it was that, I hate to use the word killer instinct, but that killer instinct had to make you feel good if you're a fan of this team. Let me see here. John in South Carolina. You're on with Jason Page on the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. What's up? Happy to do it. Well, my God, wait a second. Hold on, John. I'm going to keep you here for a second. If I was crazy, is John still there? All right. John's still there. Okay. John, if I'm crazy for taking the Buccaneers based on the fact that Tom Brady was 7-0, you're worried about ghosts from the catch. I mean, that's almost as crazy as me taking Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. No, it's true. You know who I'll tell you, you know who, and I appreciate the call, John. You know who I'm happy for tonight? I'm happy for Mike McCarthy. Because there were actually people tonight, and if you heard me on the show last week, I said Mike McCarthy shouldn't have to worry about his job security. This team played with Cooper Rush for the first 6 weeks of the friggin' season, and you're going to tell me Mike McCarthy's job was at risk when he won 12 games with this team? Are you kidding me? How on earth could Mike McCarthy's job be at risk? Only in the world of Jerry Jones and Cowboys land could Mike McCarthy's job be at risk. Because any other normal organization with a head coach and all that stuff, any other coach, no, wouldn't be an issue. All right, Tom Brady has just gotten to the podium. We've only got a few minutes here, but let's listen to what he has to say.
Let's do anything defensively that was at all surprising out there from a scheme standpoint.
They played pretty good. They played good defensively and put a lot of pressure on us, and we just couldn't make enough plays. So it was kind of typical of the way we played all year, just inefficient in the passing game and not very good in the run game. So, it's hard to beat good teams like that.
Tom, you haven't had a red zone interception in years. Just kind of what happened? Were you trying to throw it away there? Or?
I was. I was trying to throw it to Chris, and the other guys were blocking, and just trying to throw it out, and didn't obviously get enough on it. That certainly didn't help our cause.
Tom, it didn't contribute to a win tonight, but just having Ryan Jensen out there tonight, snapping the ball to you, what can you say about his comeback, about his play tonight, and any type of lift that did for you guys early in the game?
Yeah, just super proud of him and all that he's gone through this year. It's a tough injury that he had and battled all the way back and really committed himself the last 6-8 weeks to prepare himself to play and did it. So it says a lot about who he is and certainly a guy you can depend on and count on.
Sorry about that. What is your process from here when you start to think about what you want to do next? Because obviously it's going to be huge speculation.
I'm going to go home and get a good night's sleep as good as I can tonight. And
or when you want to take a step out? I mean, that was first.
No, I'm not. This has been a lot of focus on, this game. So, yeah, it's just be one day at a time, truly.
Tom, for all the struggles this season, you guys have had the at least the possibility of the playoffs and what could happen there. How hard is the finality of losing this season being over?
Yeah, always tough, but, we didn't earn it. So, they did. I think that there's a part of football where I feel like it's, sometimes you get lucky, but most of the time, the team that earns it, wins. And they played good all year. They played good tonight. They played well as a team. They were very coordinated. They played well on offense, played well defensively. They missed some kicks on special teams, but, we just couldn't get enough done offensively to put any pressure on them.
Biggest takeaway from this year for you, just the importance of and the power of resilience. I know you've talked about that's been a lesson that you've tried to teach your kids a lot about.
Yeah. I mean, there's, I think, lessons for all of us in every year of our life. So, you always want every year to end great. Unfortunately, in sports, it doesn't work that way. There's going to be 32 teams in the league, and they're all very competitive, and only one of them is really going to feel good at the end of the year. So
that's Tom Brady. You heard him say, just going to go home and get some sleep tonight. If you were looking for a retirement announcement, you weren't getting it right now. I'll tell you what I think that means next. Thank you. Story. When I was in Hartford for my 3 years there, I ran my own board 5 days a week, for 4 hours a day. It was exhausting, but I had complete control of how the show sounded. You know? Yeah. Yes. And if something sucks, it's because I did it. And if something sounds great, it's because I did it. I had to grab a drink. Be right back. We actually got 2 calls tonight. Nope. One was in South Carolina, one was in Texas. It's always good to know people who are listening. I really would like to figure out how to do a text line, though. Way more people like to text than call. Oh, God, no. Although, now that I think about it, no, I can't do that. Oh, was it? You both looked at me at the same time. It was kind of adorable. Final hour of a Monday/Tuesday edition of the show. Thanks for listening to the Cash In on SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. You can watch us right now on Twitch as well, twitch.tv. Jason Page 77 is my name there. Cowboys moving on to the divisional round. They'll take on the 49ers next week. Next Sunday night, the late game. 1-800-224-2004 in this final hour of the show. From anywhere in America, if you want to weigh in, 800-224-2004. Get your thoughts on the Cowboys win. And again, how much is it the Cowboys and how much of this was the Buccaneers? And how does it make you feel going into the matchup next week against the 49ers? I'm shocked the line has already gone down. I thought it would go up, if anything. It was 49ers minus 4.5 right after the game ended. That was the opening line. It has now gone to 49ers minus 4. The total is 46 for that game. We'll go through some of the lines for all of these playoff games next weekend, all 4 games coming up in just a few minutes. I wanted to finish letting you hear from Tom Brady because it might be the last time you hear from him for a while. I don't know if he's still going to do his weekly podcast now that the season has ended over on Sirius XM that he does called Let's Go with Jim Gray. But here's Brady just moments ago in his post-game press conference.
But you didn't take a lot of shots down the field, especially with them down a couple corners. Why weren't you able to maybe get more shots down the field?
They were playing pretty deep most of the night. We were trying to hold the ball. The problem is, they were getting there pretty quick at certain times in the rush, and then, you don't hold it for that long. And we got into the drive. We had some shots, so made a couple plays, but obviously.
The field tonight, were your emotions any different than the end of another season, at the end of last season? How did that sort of compare to what the feeling usually would be?
Yeah, it just feels like the end of the season, so. I just want to say thank you guys for everything this year. I really appreciate all your effort, and I know it's hard for you guys too. It's hard for us players to make it through, and you guys got a tough job, and I appreciate all that you guys do to cover us and everyone who watches and is a big fan of the sport. We're very grateful for everyone's support, and hopefully, I love this organization. It's a great place to be, and thank you everybody for welcoming me, all you regulars, and just very grateful for the respect, and I hope I gave the same thing back to you guys. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
That's it. That's it from Tom Brady. Like he basically said, all right, I'm done. I'm done talking. And made it clear. I mean, look, the fact that he didn't retire right after the game, there's an old saying, I say it all the time in poker, think long, think wrong. And I think if he has long enough to sit on this and think about the fact that, he could still play the game, he could play it at a high level. If the right team is out, he's not retiring. I'm sorry. I do not see it. I do not see Tom Brady retiring off of this game. I just don't see it. You can tell me if you think I'm wrong, but if he's not playing either, Vegas is the team that you're going to hear a lot about. And I look, for months now, I've been telling all of you that Vegas or San Francisco was the spot. Now that obviously changes. That obviously changes with San Francisco. That obviously changes if you're San Francisco and Tom Brady says he wants to play there next year. But it doesn't look like the 49ers is a possible landing spot anymore because of how good Brock Purdy has been. And, you look at Las Vegas, and that seems to be the spot that makes the most sense. But don't count out. I don't think you can count out the Jets, trying to make a run at him. To answer your question, by the way, John Belmer just texted me a tweet that somebody was saying was from Jerry Jones, saying, if you can kick and are currently in the stadium right now, come on down to the field. We got a jersey for you. I don't think that's real, and the reason I don't is I don't know if Jerry Jones is even on Twitter. And I typed in that name at Jerry Jones, doesn't exist. No, it's okay. That's why if RG3 retweeted that's incredibly irresponsible from him, especially as somebody that works for ESPN. You got to be smarter than that if that's the case, and he actually did that. You just got to be smarter than that. I don't think Jerry Jones would have done that. But again, I've looked up. There is no account that says at Jerry Jones. Like I just literally tweeted at Jerry Jones. Doesn't exist. No. Let's see. No, doesn't exist. It exists. There's a Jerry C. Jones. There's a Jerry Jones, but it's not real. No. Nope, not real at all. So you ain't got to worry about that. What'd you say about Jerry Jones? I don't think that much. And let me tell you, they shouldn't be. Yeah, I mean, my God, you beat an 8-win Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. I mean, how much partying do you do? I get that you beat who's in front of you and it's moving on in the playoffs and now you're, 3 wins from winning a Super Bowl or 2 wins from getting to the Super Bowl. That's all great, but you've got to keep in mind this is the Buccaneers. And again, I have been as big an advocate for the Cowboys throughout this season in terms of them and the Niners being the 2 best teams in the conference above Philadelphia. I have looked at both of those teams all year and said this to you, but I can't go gaga over a win in Tampa Bay against a Buccaneers team with a 45-year-old Tom Brady and little else around him. I can't do it. I don't know how anybody can. I'm sorry. I can't do it. I know Cowboy fans are going to get all excited, but I think the smarter Cowboy fans, and I listen, Cowboy fans have been through this ringer enough since the last time this team won anything. I think Cowboy fans are smart enough to know that what they saw tonight, as much as it was the Cowboys looking really good, it was the team they're playing. Cowboys +4 on the early line. All right, let's give you the rest of the lines on the games for next weekend. The Jaguars are +8.5 in Kansas City against the Chiefs. Even that line, I'm just kind of, that seems a little low. I think that line might go up a little because I think a lot of money will go the Chiefs' way there. But I could be wrong. Let's see. Early money. Yeah, see, I was right. 72% of the money right now on the spread is on Kansas City. Thank you, Jason Page. 61% of the money, 61% of the bets are on Kansas City. 77% of the money is on Kansas City so far in that game. This according to FanDuel Sportsbook. That's who we use. 8.5 to Jaguars +340 on the money line. 51.5 is the total. I like that total. I'd probably go over on that total because you could score against Kansas City. And I think there could be some junk touchdowns in the fourth quarter of that game if it gets out of hand. Giants and Eagles. This one I'm curious to see where the money is. Giants +7.5. And look, I don't even have to tell you right now, I'd take the Giants because they're just spread killers all the time. They win against the spread. I think they're like 75% this season against the spread. They're +275 on the money line. 48.5 is the total. Where's the money going so far? You guessed it. 61% of the money on the Giants. 64% of the bets are on the Giants. Kind of surprises me. See, the wise guy money doesn't come in till later in the week, though, and that may sort of adjust those numbers as we move through the week. See where we are by the end of the week on that. The Bengals +4.5 in Buffalo against the Bills. Boy, that's going to be a fun game. 50.5 is the total. It's another game where I think you go blast the over. I think the Bengals and Bill, I think it's going to be a shootout. Cincinnati +4.5, +194 on the money line. Buffalo -235 on the money line and -4.5, obviously. The money on that one, 70% of the early money is on Cincinnati. Wow, that is shocking. 71% of the bets on Cincinnati, too. Whew. Wow. No such figures available yet for Dallas and the 49ers, obviously, since the game just went live a short time ago. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004 in this final hour of the show. On Twitter, you can hit me up there at the back page. Again, on Twitter, at the back page. Actually, we've got early numbers on the money on the Cowboys and 49ers. Here it is. San Francisco, this is according to FanDuel Sportsbook, 54% of the early money is on San Francisco. 57% of the bets on the game are on San Francisco. Dallas +4, and the total is 46. So that's where we are with the early betting numbers on this Monday night / Tuesday morning edition of the show. All right, stick around. More to do. 1-800-224-2004. You've heard from Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. We'll hear from the Cowboys on the other side after a resounding 31-14 win in Tampa Bay. Good to have you with us on the Cash-In at SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. The Lamar Jackson stuff. Yeah, we can do that. Could probably put in the Chargers stuff. I mean, it doesn't have to be a long podcast. If it's just those three things and it's short, that's fine. I know. Yeah, I know. I get it. I get it.
Well, I think it's just like anything, it starts in your preparation, and you always want to see it carry over into the game. But that's all
on Tom Brady for the majority of
normal, higher than normal, and it's just a real credit to our players and coaches.
Lots of credit to be given for Mike McCarthy, and then also the coaching staff, offensive coordinator Kellen.
Box, and we were still able to stay committed to a couple, with 3 incompletes. So the key was just you always want to see it.
14. Here's what the head coach had to say following the win.
All right.
Sure, why not? Nah, play a different one. Okay. Good. Yep. Was a big night for Dalton Schultz. Couple of TD catches. Joe Buck the call, ESPN. That got the scoring started for the Cowboys, who beat the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay 31-14. Good to have you with us on the Cash-In, SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. You got a thought on the game? 800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. How does it bode for the Cowboys when it comes to next week in San Francisco? I was impressed with what I saw out of the Cowboys tonight, but I am going to be very careful not to stretch it too much in terms of what it means for next week, because San Francisco is a different animal. I mean, you could argue they're the best team in football. I don't care what the records say. None of that matters. With this quarterback, this team, the current structure, they're 6-0. They're averaging like 36 points a game at home with Purdy as the starting quarterback. I just can't. I can't thrust myself into, believing that the Cowboys are better than San Francisco. Now, with all that being said, they only got to be better than them on one day. This isn't a best of 7. It's not a best of 3 or a best of 5. It's one game. And anything can happen in a one-game situation, which is what makes things like the NCAA men's basketball tournament so awesome. What makes, a college football playoff, once they have a real playoff, so awesome. What makes the NFL postseason so awesome is in one-game situation, the best team doesn't always win. I mean, we've seen this time and time again. So could the Cowboys, look, if the Cowboys and 49ers play on a neutral field 10 times right now, if you ask me, I think the 49ers win 7 times. But that leaves a 30% chance that the Cowboys can win this game. I'm certainly not going to count them out. And clearly right now the odds makers aren't, because they've got the Cowboys installed as a 4-point underdog on the road, which basically, you get 3 points just for being the home team. So they think on a neutral field, this is a relatively even game, which is interesting to say the least. Mike McCarthy is the head coach of the Cowboys. He met with the media a short time ago. Some of what he had to say.
Well, I think it's just like anything, it starts in your preparation, and you always want to see it carry over into the game. But, to a man, everybody had great confidence in what we needed to do tonight. And I thought, offense and defense played, at a very high level this evening. So the key was just really staying true to the game plan. We wanted to be balanced on offense. I think we accomplished that. We tried to get going there on the first series, had a couple, with 3 incompletions, but then once we settled in, I felt like we did what we needed to do. They played some overload defense. We saw some 6-2 fronts, out of the 4-3 personnel. So they challenged us in the box, and we were still able to stay committed to the run game and grind it out. And defensively, I just thought we were all over them as soon as we got off the bus. I mean, I just thought our defense really set the tempo for the game, for a couple 3-and-outs there to start the game, and just did a great job.
I caught Archer at the end. You've seen a lot of great playoff performances from quarterbacks. How good was Dak tonight? I
mean, as good as I've seen, that's for sure. I think just like anything, he's so consistent in everything he does, and like you said, we had a couple plays there early, but I mean, he was on it the rest of the evening. I thought he was, Kellen and the play calling. We just really stayed true to what we wanted to do in here, and like I said, I thought he played extremely well, and stayed aggressive, and took the check downs. I thought he had great command of the offense and excellent presence in the pocket. Well, I just think it's starts up front with our big guys. Obviously we lost Jason Peters there, in the game, and then just to go in there and just to keep rolling. So, like I said, they were really challenging the box defensively. So we had our variation of scheme was higher than normal, and it's just a real credit to our players and coaches.
Lots of credit to be given.
So there you go. The thoughts of Jerry Jones, or I should say Mike McCarthy, after the Cowboys win 31-14. I said Jerry Jones. He was on my brain. Shireen Williams, who has been a contributor on this show, a guest on this show, covers the NFL, has done so for a long time. She's a Hall of Fame voter, writer for Pro Football Talk. Shireen Williams, after the game, and I guess this is the only, controversy coming out of this game for the Cowboys was the kicking situation with Brett Maher missing 4 extra points tonight. He finally made the 5th attempt that he got on the night after missing his first 4 and had missed 5 in a row going back to the game against the Commanders in the final week of the regular season. This from Shireen Williams on Twitter. Jerry Jones says they are not changing kickers this week. They are sticking with Brent Maher. There you go. So we're through it. Brent Maher got away with it, because a night where this game wasn't very close, I think you can sort of get away with it. But Jerry Jones making it very clear that it would be Brent Maher who's back at kicker. Jerry asked if he'll look at kickers this week to replace Brent Maher. The exact quote from Jerry Jones is, "No, he's done enough good ones." So there you have it. Jerry Jones making it clear. Yep. Yeah, you've done enough good ones. That's exactly what you would have expected from Jerry Jones. And look, I said this during the show. You're not going to go and try out kickers going into next week. You just get the guy right. Them winning, I think, takes a lot of the burden off him, and I think will allow him to relax a bit and try to get it right during the week. I mean, there's no way you're as good as Brent Maher. Brent Maher's been really good all season long. I'm not worried. I don't. Let me put it this way. I don't think the reason the Cowboys win or lose next week will ultimately be Brent Maher. If the Cowboys win next week, it's going to take a whole hell of a lot more than Brent Maher kicking field goals. In fact, it better be the Cowboys scoring touchdowns in the red zone and not kicking field goals. Because this 49er offense, no matter what you think of the Cowboy defense, and it looked really good tonight, the 49ers are going to do some scoring in this game. That's why the total at 46 is kind of interesting. But, I just can't see a shootout. I can't see a shootout. I could see, 24-21, 27-24. I guess in that scenario, Maher might be important. We'll have to wait and see. 1-800-224-2004 from anywhere in America. 800-224-2004. You can tweet at us as well. Cowboy fans, how you feeling? I mean, you got everything you could have wanted out of Dak Prescott. And I'll go back to something I was saying before the top of the hour. It might have been in the first segment. I don't remember. They all blend together this time of night. I'll say this. Mike McCarthy, they should come out right now and say Mike McCarthy's job is safe. Now, I know that Jerry Jones said that before the postseason started, and a lot of people think it was just paying him lip service to try and calm him down a bit. But Mike McCarthy has earned the right to return to this team next year. And I'll say this again, and I've said it before. You can't split Sean Payton up 4 ways. He can only go to one team. Everybody thinks they're getting Sean Payton. I saw Houston. Oh, the Texans are talking to Sean Payton. Yeah, you know what? If I ran down, and I swear to you, I'm not making this up. In the process of forming my media company, we were looking at a number of different shows to launch and a bunch of different people to hire. If I told you some of the names that I actually spent time talking to, I mean, you could talk to anybody. The Texans completing their interview with Sean Payton, I saw that headline today. It don't mean squat. It doesn't mean anything. It just means they were talking to him. Like I said, if I told you some of the people that I'd talked to, names you would all recognize, a hell of a lot bigger than mine. You can talk to anybody. Doesn't mean they're going to take your job. Doesn't mean they're going to come work for you. Sean Payton's not going to Houston. I don't know who they're going to get to take that job because DeMeco Ryans ain't going to be dumb enough to take that job. It's going to have to be some no-name or another veteran coach that doesn't care if he gets fired after a year. Good luck with that. We'll hear from Dak Prescott on the other side on the Cash In at SportsMap Radio. You could hope all you want. Hope in one hand, dog shit in the other. What do you got? A lot of dog shit. Nope. Yeah. Yeah. I think he lands in Denver now that Harbaugh's out. Yeah, I'm not doing the 2-for-1 tonight. Switching to hockey right now would be ridiculous. It's just not. It's not a smart move. I mean, you are looking live at the Cash In with Jason Page. See, we should have gotten Brent Musburger to record a liner saying that. That's his famous. You are looking live at the LA Coliseum. That would be cool. You are looking live at the Cash In. Love Brent. The god. I mean, really, after Jimmy the Greek, he's like the godfather of gambling, of like sports betting information and media and stuff like that. The founder of VSiN. 1-800-224-2004, as Brent alluded to, if you want to weigh in on the Cowboys win. And Tom Brady. What do you think is going to happen with Brady? What should happen with Brady? Where's he going to go? I think he's in Vegas next year. And if it's not Vegas, then I'm telling you, Oh, my God. Could you talk about the biggest FU to the New England Patriots? If he went and played for the Jets next year, I mean, it'd be the biggest FU in the history of sports. Like, other than Roger Clemens and Wade Boggs going to the Yankees, can you think of anything better than Tom Brady playing for the Jets next year? Just one season only. Like one night only. Sorry. It's like my impersonation of the song One Night Only. But you get my point. One night only. One season only. Tom Brady, one last run, going for Robert Saleh and the Jets. Be amazing. Okay. But the Dolphins made it clear tonight. Adam Schefter reported on the ESPN Monday Night Football pregame. They've made it clear Tua is their guy next year. I agree. There is a lot of time, and if Tom Brady walks into your room and says, I want to be your quarterback next year, much like Sean Payton, if Tom Brady walks into any team and says, I want to be your starting quarterback next year, he's going to usurp whatever you have planned. Shouldn't be that way, but it rarely does life go that way. It's the same thing with Sean Payton. If Sean Payton says, I want to be the head coach in wherever next year, you're going to make room for Sean Payton. The only exception to that might be the Chargers because they're cheap as bleep. There you go. I just censored myself. Dak Prescott met with the media a short time ago after easily one of the best performances of his career, 5 touchdowns and a playoff win in the wild card round. Take a listen to him now.
Well, that's where the other ones are at. So, yeah, I saw that as strategic of me. Yeah, McCarthy taught me that one.
John.
Yeah, did you know going into this game that you're about to have that type of game?
In a sense, yeah. Prepared well. I knew, obviously, watching tape what this team was going to be able to create matchups, what we're going to be able to do. But, yeah.
Was that watching game? Any extra motivation?
In a sense, I mean, I guess, I got away from the way that I play this game, got greedy, tried to just force some throws, try to take the big ones, and that's not who I've been throughout my career. Obviously, just taking what they give me, waiting on the big shot, and I think it was uncharacteristic. So, yeah, sure, it was a way for me to just dial back in. But at the sense, I mean, I wiped that clean and just I knew what this game meant. I knew how important it was for us, and just, as I said, prepared.
Obviously, you had a fantastic game, which could lead the offense to having a resilient bounce back from Washington. But talk about the defense and just how you guys played off each other.
Yeah, I mean, defense, after the first 2 possessions, I mean, without them going to do what they do, creating those 3 and outs and just giving us the ball right back, could be a different story. So, I mean, as you said, complimentary football. And that's the way it's been when this team is on fire. And when this team is on, they make stops, we go and turn into points, and just got to continue to build off of that. And when we're able to do that, tough team to beat.
Coming off the game where you saw 3 11 and outs, you start the game with 2 3 and outs, and then back it up with 2 back-to-back touchdowns. How did you stay steady so that this game didn't go the same direction?
Preparation and easy, just knowing what this group's capable of doing, not getting frustrated within, and I can't say that I didn't do that last week. There was a little bit of frustration, but this week, knowing that I couldn't allow that to get in my head, I couldn't allow me to change the way that I played this game. I obviously credit the defense for, as I said, getting us the ball right back after those 2 possessions, and just told the offense in the huddle, hey, we get 1 first down, and this thing's going to roll. And that's exactly what happened. So, yeah, we just got to continue to do that.
Could you speak to the use of your mobility and athleticism? I mean, it was almost like the way you played early in your career.
Yeah, I mean, I knew I was going to have to do that coming in. I've told you all along when the time's needed, I'm going to do that. And, yeah, I feel good, blessed to feel this healthy this late in the season. Credit to those guys up front and just – as I said, just watching tape, knowing that those opportunities were going to come, and just tried to go stay ahead of the chains to keep this offense in good position.
20. All right, so there you go. Dak Prescott just a few minutes ago on the win tonight and feeling good going into the game against the 49ers. I was just talking about the fact that Jerry Jones, and putting the idea of Sean Payton to the Cowboys to bed. This actually just took place after the game. This is Jerry Jones, John Machota covering the Cowboys for The Athletic, posting this. Jerry Jones, when asked about finally being able to put the constant Sean Payton speculation to bed. Take a listen.
Don't go there. Let's don't go there. But let's don't let me, because I said don't go there, imply that I'm leaving it on.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm real hard.
I'm being tongue-in-cheek.
I'm real hard. I haven't equivocated since last night in saying that Mike McCarthy I'm satisfied with. Okay. Nothing of the last 12 hours has changed my mind.
All right. There you go. So there's Jerry Jones. I mean, it's hard to be more clear than that, right? I mean, it's hard to be more clear than Jerry was right there. He made it, I think, crystal clear that Mike McCarthy is going to be the guy here. And there's going to be a lot of speculation no matter what happens next week about the idea of Sean Payton. But I'd be shocked if anybody other than Mike McCarthy was coaching this team next year. Let me go to Kenny in Fort Worth, Texas. Listen on 97.1 The Freak, the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. What's going on, Kenny? Just another day in paradise, my friend. Why? What happened? What happened? Does it make you think differently about them next week against the 49ers? That's all right. You can say that. Yeah, you know what? And I appreciate the call, Kenny. Here's the thing. Two things can be true. The Cowboys played great, and the Buccaneers played like dog doo-doo. I mean, both things can be true. Sometimes we like to think it's an either-or thing, but to me, I think it was a combination. I think the reason you get a 31-14 rout that's never really competitive is the Cowboys played really well, and the Buccaneers played the way they have the entire season. That's it. I don't think it's more complicated than that. I don't think it's that the Cowboys, were handed a victory by the Buccaneers. I think the Cowboys went in there and earned it. Like Tom Brady said, you usually earn it. Very rarely does the team that plays better wind up losing a game. 4 quarters, usually it shakes it out in the wash over the course of 4 quarters. And tonight, perfect example. There wasn't anything in the texture of that game that told you the Buccaneers had any chance. And for those of us that picked the Buccaneers plus the points, we got to eat it. We're back with more on the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Yeah. It's all right. Made it work. He got it out, and he got it out, and I got him out. Yeah, no, spit it out. Yeah. Here's the other thing about TikTok that I find perplexing. I put FYP and I put trending in, and then you go, oh, I got 2 new followers during the show tonight. We're up to 91. But like I put up the thing about Lamar Jackson today, and after 2 hours, it only had 4 views. But then overnight, it doesn't feel like it gets into the algorithm. It takes time. I'm putting it up to get immediate reaction, and it takes forever before it starts getting into people's feeds. Yeah. Yes, I agree with that. Oh, it's a zillion. It's a ton. Yeah. Just doesn't happen. No. I'm consistently in that 400 area now with most of the videos. Yeah, it's all right. Got 15 comments on the video I put up today. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. It's like a full-time job, dude. It's good, though. Got a few calls. It's good. All right, again, set to wrap things up for tonight. I didn't even get to all the games. I didn't even get to all the super wild card weekend games. Well, we could talk about Buffalo tomorrow. Also Cincinnati. And that Giants win in Minnesota, which I'll tell you what, man. Daniel Jones about to get paid. That dude is going to get some cash. Not just off of this game, but really what he's done all season. And before you all go crazy about, the Minnesota defense, all this stuff, let me tell you something. Daniel Jones was better than Kirk Cousins last night, and he's got about a third of the tools at his disposal that Kirk Cousins has. So keep that in mind. I don't want to hear this crap about, oh, the play call, this thing. You cannot throw that pass last night if you're Kirk Cousins. You cannot throw a pass 4 yards short of the line to gain on 4th down when your season is on the line. You can't. So stop with it's the defense's fault. Oh, but the defense wasn't good all year and they won 12 games. So you can't sit here and tell me, or 13 games, whatever the hell they won. You can't sit here and tell me that, all season long Kirk Cousins is amazing and then it's the defense's fault. The defense sucked all year and they found ways to win. So I'm sorry, in that spot, nope, not doing it. Daniel Jones was the better quarterback last night. Kirk Cousins has been overpaid his whole damn career. Why do you think he's gotten the nickname for not being good in prime time? You think that's made up? God. When it mattered most yesterday, he got bailed out by a terrible roughing the passer call. What else is new in this league? Otherwise, they would have been facing a 3rd and long there. And then he throws a 4th and 8 pass 4 yards to TJ Hawkinson. But somehow it's everybody else's fault. Please. Kirk Cousins, you talk about overpaid quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins. Give me a break. What's Kirk Cousins done? What's he done? Go look at his career numbers. It's crazy. Yeah, he's a great regular season quarterback. That's it. Get me started on Kirk Cousins. See, do I have his postseason numbers in front of me? Let me see if I can get his postseason numbers. Now I'm just in the mood to take a dump on Kirk Cousins. Oh man, give me his postseason, please. I gotta find it. Postseason numbers for Kirk Cousins. Playoffs. Here we go. There you go. 1-3. That's all you need to know. 1-3 in his postseason career. Great. Statistically, he was so good yesterday. You know what? When it mattered most, couldn't do it. And Daniel Jones did. Daniel Jones is going to get paid, man. The Giants got their guy now. That's the end of that. Him and Daboll, they are absolutely linked at the hip. And I don't know why Daboll wasn't more effusive in his praise in the postgame yesterday. When questioned by the media, he was like, oh, yeah, Daniel Jones was good. Good? He had 300. My God, if Lamar Jackson did that, you'd be wetting yourself today. That's what he did. If Lamar Jackson put up that kind of performance, the media would be falling all over themselves. Daniel Jones, that was an epic performance. 24-35, 301 passing, 2 touchdowns. Running for his life all over the field. He led the team in rushing with 78 yards. What more does a guy have to do? Giants didn't turn it over. Not once. Such a great performance from that team on the road yesterday. Let me finish with Jim Harbaugh, because this changes sort of the calculus, I think, for a lot of teams around the league. We talked last week to Nick Ferguson, and we talked with, who else did we talk? Jason Cole from Outkick.com, who covers the NFL for them. And the consensus seemed to be that Jim Harbaugh to Denver was, if Harbaugh was going to the NFL, it was going to be Denver. The Stanford connections, all there, all of that stuff. Now today we learn that Jim Harbaugh is going back to Michigan for at least 2023 after he talked with teams about a potential return to the NFL. Second straight year he's flirted with going back to the NFL. University President Santa Ono tweeting out Monday he spoke to Harbaugh, confirmed he'd return for a 9th season. The same has been communicated to Athletic Director Ward Manuel, who said, I love the relationships I have at Michigan, coaches, staff, families, administration, President Santa Ono, and especially the players and their families, Harbaugh said in a statement. My heart is at the University of Michigan. I once heard a wise man say, don't try to out-happy, go blue. And you know what? Listen, I'm not a huge Harbaugh fan, but that's really true. Don't try to out-happy. Everybody, everybody's always looking for the next great thing. And if you do, and I speak from experience, early in my career, I was always looking for the next job. I was at Sirius 03 through 07. I was always, all right, where's my next gig going to be? And then I was in Hartford, and it was get an agent. Where's my agent going to put me? Where's my next gig going to be? Then I was at ESPN Radio New York, and and before you know it, you're moving around place to place to place. You have no stability in your life. And for what? At what cost? A little more money? A little more fame? A little more notoriety? What are you chasing? I mean, if you're happy, if the goal is chasing happiness, if it's the pursuit of happiness, if you're Jim Harbaugh, you're coaching at your alma mater where you played football. You were a game away from the national championship game. What the hell else are you going after? You've got a great young quarterback. And I know they may have some, the NCAA's investigating alleged violations during the COVID-19 recruiting dead period. And there is some potential risk for him because of alleged infractions, level 1 violation for Harbaugh for not complying with or misleading NCAA investigators. Could carry a multi-game suspension for him. All right. So he misses a game against Eastern Michigan early in the year, something like that. I mean, who cares? I seriously. Go look at the schedule for Michigan next year. East Carolina, UNLV, Bowling Green, the first 3 games on the schedule. If he gets suspended for 3 games next year, those are the 3 games. So I think they'll figure out a way to get by without Jim Harbaugh for those 3 games. Just a hunch. He's not getting suspended for more than that. So you know what? Kudos to him for at least for 1 more year feeling like he was in a position to stay where he was. That he wants to stay there. I still think ultimately he's going to wind up back in the NFL though. I think as long as that itch is there, if you're willing to talk every year, and I wonder just how much of it had to do with the jobs that were out there. Maybe he looked at that Denver job and said, hey, they've already said they have to fix Russell Westbrook. Maybe he didn't want to be the one to have to fix Russell Westbrook. I mean, he's 50. Russell Wilson. Sorry, I said Russell Westbrook. My bad. Thank you, Belmer. It's better than all the times I say Brett Favre instead of Aaron Rodgers. Maybe he doesn't want to be the one to fix Russell Wilson. That's a possibility. And he had real talks, though, with, a number of NFL teams. Now it'll be interesting to see if he signs a long-term extension to stay in Michigan. That'll be the next sort of shoe to drop in this. We'll have to wait and see. All right, that's going to do it for us. Much appreciation for you listening tonight. Thank you to John Belmer, producer, engineer extraordinaire, corrector of mistakes. Hey, if you missed anything from the show tonight, the Cash In podcast, always available for you. Go and get that at your favorite podcasting sources. Thanks, John. Thanks to all of you for listening. We'll see you back here Tuesday night for the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Bye! Nice job tonight. We'll do it again tomorrow. Yeah. I thought we handled it well. For a two-man crew and what we have to work with, I thought we handled it really well. You know? For those of you watching on the video stream, thanks for checking us out tonight. Back here tomorrow. If you're not following me on TikTok, go and do it now. The Jason Page on TikTok. The Jason Page. THE Jason Page. Thanks to all of you for watching. I'll catch you back here tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. SportsMap Radio, the SportsMap Radio app, Twitch, any other video platform we're on. I'll see y'all later. Bye.